This is Movietone. Lionel Gamlin reporting. It wasn't long after the Royal liner Gothic had passed through the Panama Canal into the Pacific that the Queen paid a visit to the escorting cruiser Sheffield. A ship at sea, of course, always makes a grand picture. The barge of the Commander-in-Chief West Indies Station had been sent from the cruiser to take Her Majesty and the Duke across. On board Sheffield, the royal inspection was followed by a march past of the ship's company. This very attractive record of the occasion was then made, and before returning to Gothic, the Queen inspected the ship. Some days later, Surgeon Lieutenant Commander Nicholl had to be transferred from Sheffield to Gothic at an emergency appendicitis operation on a member of the liner's crew. A happy feature of the voyage to Fiji was, of course, the arrival of Neptune aboard Gothic for the crossing the line ceremony. It fell to the Duke, acting as an assistant barber, to propel Lady Pamela Mountbatten into the swimming pool. She had been charged with being the daughter of a sea lord not appointed by Neptune. Everyone who hadn't crossed the equator before simply had to go through it, and it's obvious from this glimpse of the proceedings that a thoroughly wet but enjoyable time was had by all present. Without doubt, the Queen, who watched it all, and the Duke, who played a leading part, enjoyed the occasion as much as anyone. Presently the time came for HMS Sheffield to relinquish her escort duty. She passed close to the Royal liner in salute, and the Queen made her own film record of the event. The New Zealand cruiser Black Prince now took over from Sheffield, and later the Royal travellers went across to visit and inspect. The scene aboard the cruiser underlines the smartness of this typical naval occasion, and we may be sure that these New Zealanders were proud to be first to greet Her Majesty on her way to visit their country. After the long voyage across the Pacific, Gothic now reached Suva, the capital of Fiji. Fijian sailing canoes and craft of the Royal Suva Yacht Club came out to offer a loyal welcome. A party of Fijian chiefs now went aboard the liner to perform the traditional ceremony of inviting the royal visitors to land. This involved the presentation of a whale's tooth, greatly prized by the islanders and a symbol of tribute to the sovereign. The Queen and the Duke presently went ashore at Suva, where they were accompanied by the Governor of Fiji, Sir Ronald Garvey. And next came what was perhaps the most charming welcome of all, the presentation of a bouquet by the 3-year-old daughter of a chief now serving in Malaya. "Isn't she sweet?" the Queen is reported to have said. Yes, stairs to step back, sit down and clap your hands. That's the correct form in Fiji. Then came a royal drive through the town to Albert Park, where many picturesque ceremonies of greeting were to be held. As Her Majesty and the Duke walked to the dais, it's not difficult to imagine the great thrill of this royal visit for the islanders, however impassive their expressions. Climax of the welcome here was the preparation and presentation of a local beverage called kava. Water is poured onto kava powder and hibiscus fibre is wrung out to mix with it. And when the brew was ready, it was offered in a coconut shell to the Queen. Then it was the turn of His Royal Highness to accept the kava drink. The whole ceremony, indeed, was carried out with great solemnity, for it is, of course, an old and unfailingly honoured Fijian custom. Dancing time came next, the spear dance being the most typical of all. It very clearly recalls the wild Fijian days of long ago, but modern warriors have proved their loyalty and courage in 2 world wars, and today are serving in Malaya. From Albert Park, the royal visitors drove some 6 miles to visit several schools. Fijian students were gathered here to offer their welcome, and once again, loyal greetings were expressed with dancing. That night, picturesquely escorted by torchbearers, the Queen and the Duke drove to the Grand Pacific Hotel to attend a state ball. Later, amid the greatest enthusiasm, they came out onto the balcony to acknowledge yet another ovation from the people of Suva before driving off, fully escorted again.